What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another Heroclix Majestix podcast. Normally we have Jeff, but it is his wedding anniversary. So, congrats, Jeff, and you deserve it. Please get all the brownie points you need so that you can spend more time with us afterwards. And that's exactly what he was doing. He's like, let me bank in this time and all these things, and so I can go to Arizona. He can do all these things. I'm like, hey, good. But
there you go.
In his place, we have, of course, the venerable and honorable Roland Wellington of Team Vegas.
How's it going, guys?
Back again. Welcome back. I guess let's just jump right into it because you had a event this weekend, the ICQ, the Las Vegas one, which I also went to. Very successful, very well run. And because of that, just a quick announcement, guys, we will be doing the Invitational in Vegas. It's going to be in one of those libraries and will be on January 6th, 7th, and 8th. Details forthcoming, but it gives you more time. I know it's supposed to be December, but the rooms that I've been trying to get out here are either too expensive for multiple days or they've been already booked for the first week. So it's January, and then, it's just great over there. So we're just going to do it there. Hopefully that doesn't mess anyone up. But maybe we can get more people from out of town because Vegas is more centralized for people to show up.
There you go. It's after the holidays, so it's a good time for to recover from the holidays, get out of town and everything like that.
It will be it's cool because it will, you know what I think we should be doing? That'll be the end of the 2022 season. That's the cap. But then we can also run, hopefully, an ICQ that same weekend to start off the 2023 season, right? That would be awesome. We'll figure out the logistics. We have 3 days to be able to do this over there. So, there'll be a lot of cool things. It's going to be like a mini convention like it was at this event, which we'll get into right now. So take it away, good sir.
All right, so for everybody that attended the Vegas ICQ, thank you for coming out. For everybody that watched on stream or is going to can go ahead and watch the matches on Majestix YouTube channel. I appreciate that. We had a great time out there. We had 22 players for our event who paid in the main tournament, and then counting additional players that came in just for Battle Royals.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah. And came in just to check out our vendor and hang out and say hi. We had 30 unique players come through the doors throughout the whole weekend. So it was a really fun atmosphere. We had a lot of activities going on. We had to spin the wheel for your participation prizes and everything like that. So, and we also had more diverse teams. We had some really cool teams that won the Bronze Age Builder Award, one that made the top 8. We had some cool ideas that we saw out there, and we're really seeing the field diversify as we're getting later into the summer season for the 2022 Invitational.
Yeah, so, and perfect segue, we're going to look at the top 8, but I've been saying that we just need more events, more places that are playing. Then we can figure out like what the metagame actually looks like, right? This is it's like trial by fire here.
Jeff, how much we need you on the podcast?
Yeah, I know, dude. I know.
We need you at the events for our IT. Fortunately, when I ran the Las Vegas one, I had an assistant who was Mike Meavison, who just did all of my IT and computer work, and that's what he does for a living. So I appreciate me to think that.
Do you see it, or you just see me?
I just see you. Yeah.
Okay. How about now? Do you see this?
Just you.
Just me. Okay.
Oh, there we go. It was there for a second. There it is.
It popped up.
Popped up.
Okay.
Yep.
Cool. Okay. All right. Well, let's go over the top 8.
Okay.
Boom. Okay. So we have. Let's start. Yeah, this is, of course, first place is Alyssa McNeil. She's playing the same team that she played the last couple events.
But congratulations for winning.
Yeah, congrats again. This is her second one, so she's proving herself. Yeah, proving herself to be probably the very best, and consistent too.
I usually have a personal rule, and I have a rule when we travel, is that I don't like players playing the same team twice because it's very hard to repeat or do well with the same exact team. So again, props for her for being able to do that. Yeah. This is like the third or fourth time she's run this team. I know back in May when we went down to LA, she was working on the combo, and then Sakari and Iron Man came out in that combo.
To put her up top, yes.
Yeah, and she's been able to win with it ever since.
So this is, we've talked about this basically ad nauseum at this point, because in North Carolina they were also playing versions of this. But basically the main move is it's Sakari and Iron Man with Brainiac. It's almost like a defense shot with Leopard and the Black Widows preventing you from shooting. So you have to get close. You get close. You have to 10 on 17, 10 on 18, 10 on 19s, or even lower if they have the emotional modifier -1 attack. But it's hard. It's weird because this team, it's like a glass cannon. It's just that I don't even know if glass is the word for it, because you can't even hit it. It's really hard. But if you do hit it, I mean, they don't have. If you look at it, other than Iron Man, there are no reducers whatsoever on this team.
No.
So if you can do any kind of energy explosion, get a shot, or multiple like a quake attack or poison or anything like that, they all kind of go down. It's just the problem is getting in there, and then also not getting hit from the Iron Man on the.
Now this is the first time I got to see this team in a full match live in person. And going in there. So I was a little of how it plays and everything. So if you guys haven't watched this team, go ahead and back and watch the final match that we have on the Majestix YouTube channel, because it really does kind of open your eyes how it plays. For this particular matchup, when she played Patrick, she was using a double TK yo-yo with Sakari and Iron Man. Scarlet Witch would TK him out. He either hypersonic or running shot or standing shot. Black Widow would TK him back. The reason why she was able to do that was she could shifting focus into the Black Widow with TK and didn't need to have the Black Widow on the map that either created smoke cloud or prevented improved target hindering, because Patrick didn't have that on his team.
Right.
And she wanted role. So if she is facing somebody that has improved target hindering, she can't do the TK yo-yo. If she's not on her map, she can't do the TK yo-yo, and she can't prevent the hindering shot because she has to be making the smoke cloud. So it's a strong team, and Widow gives a lot of options, but if you plan to have counter options, you can force her into one Widow and not have another option there, which is maybe the more offensive option with the TK yo-yo.
Yeah, that was when she does, and keep in mind, like, she won, but she loses quite a bit during the Swiss rounds with this. She hasn't gone undefeated yet on Swiss. She's always losing 1 or 2 games. A lot of times she's just getting kind of out, like she's kind of put in a vice, right? Because she, like you said, she has to choose. Do I want them to stop from getting inside with the placement? Do I want them to stop from shooting me? Do I want them to do, so she has to choose. And on certain matchups, that means they could do something else and then they're in trouble. But she did win when it counted, which is really what matters here. And this is a very tough team. This is, I think, one of the best metagame. Like tier 1 teams that it can be very rewarding if you play it correctly, but it's also very finesse because of how soft these characters are. But man, that Iron Man is that's a beast, man. That thing's everywhere. I think that's something we have to contend with, I think, going forward, right? Just in the metagame.
You know what? There's one up on eBay right now. I'm watching that ends in 2 days. It's like it's $70. I'm not it doesn't.
Yeah. Yeah, this is nuts. Okay, so let's go into the second place team, which is your boy Patrick Booth. Rematch from their match in May, right?
Yeah, they played in
May, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So go ahead and let's collector gang.
So the highest ranking Vegas player that we had at our ICQ, because Alyssa already had qualified for the Invitational. That Patrick by default got it by making it to the final table. So congratulations to Patrick for qualifying for there.
So we'll see him.
On a personal note, I know through Patrick's run through the top 8, and by the time he got there and he got his prize, he was happy already. So he was loosey on the final match. watched the stream. That's the most talkative I've ever seen him during a match. So he was having fun with that. But this is Collector Swarm, also known as Collector Jank. He top 8'd with this last weekend down in Artesia. Artesia? How do you pronounce that?
Artesia, yeah.
Artesia. After that one in the hotel afterwards, we were tweaking it, and he says the two biggest problems I had was Thanos, and there wasn't beef on the team. So the switch for this one was in comes the Doctor to prevent Thanos, who could also do stuff and fit with the small ball aspect of the team, and then Emperor Gladiator Prime to give a one-shot punch in there for the team.
Right.
And both of those helped him out in the top 8. In the quarterfinals, he played against Thanos. Their Doctor came into play. And then the semis, when he played against Clay, it came down to the final rounds, and he just needed Gladiator to hit for 5, which he did to get a KO to win.
Yeah.
So a little bit tweaking on there for what the team needed. Same concept, collector bonuses, multiples of rarities,
That's
small
awesome.
form. There you go.
I think it's so funny how the highest point figure is 50 here. That's a lot. It's a lot. The format's kind of trending towards either like 75 or less, or you're playing like a 200 point figure or 175 point figure. There's like nothing in between. It's very interesting because there are also some other teams where they're like, I remember Aaron was playing a team that had 12 characters, and I think the highest point figure was 35.
Oh, okay.
So, so like this is right there, right? He's got 250 point guys. The rest of them are 30, 20, 15, 10. So because of Collector, I think you could do more of this because it just makes those lower point guys that much better. Especially,
And talking with Patrick afterwards, I asked him, at any point during the weekend, did you lose a rarity slot and lose your attack value bonus? He's like, no, I always was able to have all the 4 rarities needed, and that was by design of the team.
Yeah, and it's also just there's so many pieces out there. It's as an opponent, like, what do you attack?
Exactly. Yeah.
So
because Patrick's philosophy when he sends out, obviously looking at the build, Flash, High Evolutionary, Emperor Gladiator, they're going to be your frontline attackers, right?
Mm-hmm.
Send them out, get more points than they're worth, even if it's 35, and then Flash dies, you're up. You're just that point seesaw going on your favor the whole time.
Yeah,
so
that's that. Yeah, and also a lot of times it's I watch some of the games and some of these figures are ignored because they're they're like they do nothing.
Yeah.
And so they get left alone, and then they do something, and then you're like, man, I should have killed that person, Like an example, Clay tried to, but I guess he probably should have really gone after Mary Jane, but I guess there's a shape change rolled. But if he just really went after the Mary Jane, like kind of prioritized it, then like all those mastermind fodder for Gladiator wouldn't be there.
Correct.
That was basically the game. But I mean, there's a lot of low point pieces here that, you have to work a lot to make up the points for the guy that's attacking. So that's one of I think there's going to be more of these types of teams going forward. So
correct. Because like, for example, that 10-point Superman, right? Do you really want to spend the resources to kill a one-click 10-point Superman? But if you leave him alone, he has 10-3 close combat expert, so he can punch you for 11-4 just out of the blue.
12 for 5, right? Because of
12 for 5. Yeah, 12 for 5.
12 for 5. So it's like
10 points, 12 for 5.
Yeah,
kill him. 10 points. Okay.
Yeah, exactly. All right, so moving on to the third place team, and this one is Clay playing my defense shell team. That this is more like his style because he likes playing kind of like these point denial type teams, and this is more like a hard to hit, hard to kill team as opposed to point denial because you can actually like get rid of these guys. It's just being able to actually deal the damage and hitting is what it is the tough one. So. You've seen? Did you watch it? You watched a couple of his games, right?
I did. So I saw the beginning of his quarterfinals game with Tyler and Shatterstar, and then I saw the second half of his game in the semifinals with Patrick and how it went down. So go ahead.
If you looked at his points total in 5 rounds, I think he scored like 400 points, something like that.
Yeah.
So that shows you like. How low it can really. It just needs to get enough points to win. That's basically.
Yeah. I mean, this is this is as far as I know, Clay is at least top 4 in all of the events he's played in.
Yep. He
made the final table last week and lost to Jeff, but he got the invitation because Jeff was unable to get it. So he has his bye, but Clay hasn't won one yet. And Clay, This is what I'm telling you. You're a better player than playing this garbage, okay? Like,
it's his style.
It doesn't matter. Like, you're a better player. You can play other styles. You're playing this sit-back foo-foo. Yeah. You can't hit me. I'm playing the math. And one time, somebody rolls 11 and you lose. You know?
Yeah.
That Esbrook has done for years. And I know that first you played in May was an Esbrook team. How many championships does Esbrook have? Okay. Yeah. The one that he has, his masterpiece figure, he ran Icon Superman. That Icon Superman. Yeah. Okay. All those other times he was running 20 defense KC Flash that I kicked in the nuts with Black Adam because that's how you play Heroclix. Clay, I'm calling you out. I want you to be better, be more aggro.
Oh man, that's tough, man. That's just not his style. He just doesn't. Yeah, but I mean, it definitely. I always say too, like this one, when I built this it was more like to just kind of try out a new mechanic with the Captain Carter shield with the Watcher. But the more, I played it but like, I was like, I don't know if I would play this because this is not really my style. And, and I've always said since anyone who ever listens to I say, hope is not a strategy. And this team is, you hope they miss. That's it. That's it. Every time is hope you miss. And then in the top 4, of course, Patrick rolls an 8. Yeah. He rolls it twice, and then that's game because then Leland died.
Patrick even had a backup because if he missed those, then it goes to a 50-50 die roll.
50-50 roll, yeah, exactly. So, but this is a defense shell with everybody's rocking like a 20 because you're gonna put the shield on Watcher, put him on 19 defend to go to 20. Of course, if you shoot them from outside of the ring, you'll be -2. If you go inside the ring, you'll be -2 attack and damage because of Leland. You won't be able to carry people in there because of Leland. And then offensively, between Ultron, Faust, and the Pogs, they can deal a lot of damage. It's just, can you live long enough for them to do the damage? So
now that Ultron Pym Prime is the if you run a theme team probs, you can't use them or something like that.
You can use them. It's just that after resolutions, you take one unavoidable.
You take one unavoidable.
Yeah.
When an opposing character that's part of a theme team uses probability control after resolutions, deal that character one unavoidable damage. Yeah. So just an interesting note, both in the quarterfinals against Tyler and the semis against Patrick, Clay did not play against the theme.
A theme, yeah. Yep. It's like right now there's just a lot of theme teams. But in this top 8, when we look at it, I want to say like over half of it's not themed.
No,
because like the 2nd, 3rd, 4th, and 5th are all non-themes.
Yeah.
But because the metagame is everybody's playing theme.
Yeah.
Oh, and Tyler. So like 5 out of the 8 teams are non-theme, which is something that hasn't been done before, hasn't been seen in our ICQs because, like the go-to is let me build the best theme of whatever I want to play, as opposed to now that there's more events and there more exploration, people can actually try non-theme. That's why his team is actually non-theme, right? And so the more I think you'll see these exploration into non-themes, I think the more potent a lot of these teams are because now you're not just being pigeonholed into like certain pieces because they don't match.
Correct.
Now you can. So I think that's a very interesting thing to see if that trend continues, right? 5 out of 8, that's crazy.
Yeah, because it also depends on the player. Because like if you're not running at the beginning of a game mechanic or worried about those, if you build your team that can play second or maybe wants to play second, or balanced on maps, you're like, whatever, let's do this. Yeah. I'm going for my mechanic. You can't stop me no matter what you're doing.
The only reason why you would. Other than, if you have like leaderships or things like that, things that key off of keywords,
Right.
Is theme prob. That's really it. But if you have your probs on your team, then you really don't need it. But if you don't have probs in your team, then you kind of have to. Because like if you look at Alyssa's team, she has the prob from the Scarlet Witch. But if Sakari and Iron Man just gets sent out there, there's no prob for him except himself.
Right.
So that's kind of like what so I guess that's one way to, like, one of the reasons why you would do it. Yeah. Also, like you said, the beginning of the game effects if you want to be first. I think that's huge. So
yeah.
All right. Moving on to the fourth place, opposite of Clay, we have Carlos, who's between him and Patrick, they're like, they're like two of your best players, right? Like who do you think?
I'd say they're Patrick and Carlos are the two best active players in Vegas right now.
Yeah.
And they've been for a bit. Some players like myself and Dustin have kind of stepped back from the game a bit.
Yeah.
Others have either moved or life, they have to go take care of stuff and everything like that. But in terms of active players that are still consistent there, Carlos and Patrick are always at the top of our WKOs or our bigger events or anything like that.
Now, is there a rivalry with them at all? Like
it's a friendly.
Oh man, it's always you guys. It's always I always got to play you again.
They're frenemies on there. So. Somebody's got to be The Rock. Somebody's got to be Stone Cold.
Right. Oh, okay. That's a good one. Okay. But this is like supreme aggro, right? It's a Blackheart team with retail backup, right? He's got 3 Retaliators and he's got double Blackhearts and the Waldo Worm. So he's just attacking a lot.
Right.
The one thing this team does, and it just kind of just fits like his style, how he plays it. It's super aggressive.
Yeah.
He sacks those Hellfire guards like there's no tomorrow, man.
Yeah. So
and it actually cost him the game in the top 8. Where's it? Top 8? Top 4? Top 4.
Top 4. Yeah,
top 4 because he KO'd one too many and he lost by 2 points.
Yeah. Something similar happened. So we had back in April, we had a big event here in town for Lady Phoenix Con. So a little local big event, and he played double Blackhearts. And that's what happened there is in the finals, he lost because he had too many of the Hellfire guards got KO'd. He still had most of his team on the board, but it was just Hellfire guards.
Yeah.
It's an aggro team, and Carlos is going to play it aggro. He's thinking he can wipe your no matter how much it gives up,
Yeah. So in that game with Alyssa, we did record it on there. It was just Sakari and Iron Man against two. It was like against the 2 Blackhearts, and I'm like, oh, you're gonna lose. But then Alyssa's like, well, you KO'd like 6 of those guys. I think I'm winning. And then they did the math. Oh my goodness, she won by 2 points.
By 2 points.
And he was kind of like, well, I didn't have to sack the last one, but he was like, I'm trying to kill you.
Yeah.
But
that might have been a case where. So when I play, and I've learned this from playing card games, I'm keeping track as the score as we go. So every KO gets written down.
Yeah, that should be.
If Carlos has been keeping track, he might have realized I'm already up. I don't need to sack one because I'll go back down and go close, But if memory serves, this is the first time we've seen double Blackheart place in several ICQs. He kind of went away for a bit. Yeah. And now we got Blackheart again. This one, not a theme team. Most double Blackhearts are either mystical or monster. Carlos breaks theme and brings Blackheart back into the top 4.
Yeah, and that's what Clay was. I forget. Someone was asking me at the store, like, how come there's no more Blackhearts? And I was like, well, I mean, the answer is pretty simple. It's not new anymore.
Yeah,
and we have Disney Plus that came out since then, and we have War of the Realms. Mm-hmm. So between those 2 sets, they're going to look at all the new things. Blackheart is so 2020, right, or 2021, whenever it came out. So
it's so 2000.
Come on. It's still really. That's the thing. Is like I think it's still top tier, and obviously you can see it is here. But like at your event, I don't even know if there were that many Blackhearts to begin with. Like there may be 1 or 2 other Blackheart teams, maybe, but like just straight up like this double Blackheart like this, there was no other ones, right?
Oh, I think it was the only one that I saw. I think there was a couple, but they were farther down the standings. They weren't even in our bracket. So
yeah. So double Blackheart is still a thing. I mean, I would still think it's tier 1. So, of course, just make sure that there's no Gamora hitting them, or else you just lost 75 points.
Yeah.
Okay, moving on to 5th place is, the exact same team that won last week or 2 weeks ago. Was it last week? I don't even remember anymore. Last week, Jesus, everything's blending together. But Anthony Barragan played Thanos, Nighthawk, Split Lip, Carnage with objects. This is the exact list that Jeff played. This was my test list at the store when people want to play against Thanos. Of course, if you take out the Zero Ring and the Iron Avengers, that was the Alchemical Fire. But then it got watch listed. Right. We had to change it, and Zero is actually better than Alchemical Fire, period, just because of the barrier preventing people from even getting to Nighthawk, which a lot of the times he does die because there's no real protection on him. But if he barriers 5 square barrier on the corner, they can't. It's hard for them to shoot him, and they have to now. Thanos is there, but this is the only Nighthawk team, and I think that's one of the ones that we've always talked about. Like, why aren't there more Nighthawks? Why aren't there more Nighthawks? Correct.
Only Nighthawk team and. Only sort of standard Thanos team that kind of plays well. There was a few other interesting Thanos teams, but they weren't your sort of standard Thanos.
They were. I think there was one. I think Joe was the only one playing Thanos, but he was playing like a Watcher collector, like a cosmic swap thing, right?
So Joe had an interesting idea. Just didn't kind of work out in practice, but he was going to run Legacy Thanos with a Watcher that does the swap. And then when the Legacy Thanos got hit, he would swap him out for a full pointed another, and then swap him out for a full pointed another Thanos. A different way to keep Thanos alive.
It's I think the problem with that is you put a big bullseye on Watcher.
A Watcher, yeah.
And he's only like 4 clicks, so they can just get to him if they really wanted to. Just get to him. So I think that's the issue.
When I talked to Joe afterward, he says, when I was able to, the rounds I swapped, I won. The rounds I didn't swap, I lost.
Yeah, because exactly. If they can get to him, it kind of defeats the purpose of the team. But Nighthawk Prime should and it's Split Lip, Nighthawk Prime. Those are like the old guard there, and interesting. We'll see if there's more relics going forward. I think there's some really cool things that you can do with it.
So, interesting thing about this team. Last weekend, when I played Jeff in the prelims, I was able to beat the team, and the reason why I did is turn 1 threw Gamora all the way out there, right into Thanos' grill, and he kind of had to change up how he normally plays. The recipe of the first 3 turns was I threw him off schedule, so he had to adjust. He made a wrong decision in the prelims, cost him the game. In this particular one, Anthony was our number 1 seed going into Sunday.
He was 5-0.
He went 5-0 on Saturday, played Patrick, the second place team, in the quarterfinals. Patrick won map roll, and his strategy was throw Sprite all the way across the map onto the one square that has the 2 relics, because these relic teams with Split Lip are placing all the relics on the same square. So Sprite just goes and occupies the square, and I saw it when it happened. Anthony didn't know what to do for a moment. Like the algorithm was off. And then he's like, okay, well, let me go punch Sprite. Moves Thanos over there. She hits shape change. Your turn 1's wasted. Yep. And now Pat moved up the rest of the force, got into the grill, and started taking out characters.
Yeah. And to note that, why didn't Thanos just mind control? Well, because Doctor on the other side prevented.
Because Doctor's on the team. That's why we're on the team.
So Nighthawk, as long as Thanos is like a major threat, Nighthawk and Doctor should be pieces that, and emotion modifier to a lesser extent, should be things that we should see all the time. Yep. You got your team, I believe, needs to have either Doctor, Nighthawk, or modifier, or an Alpha Strike that can kind of kill him in one turn. With like no defense and stuff like that, right? Like just like hit him really hard that he can't even think about doing mind control. He has to pick Soul Gem. Yep. You know what I mean? Like it's got to be one of those like 4 things, or if there's any other thing that stops mind control, I don't know. Or I mean, yeah, I guess you could just play pieces like Sinestro or Onslaught, would just have protected mind control, right?
Yeah, like yeah. I mean, there's even a couple generics that, like, free action, give adjacent character Battle Fury. There's any way to kind of get
things like that.
with, and it's not a waste of an action because then you ignore opponent's shape change, so you can send Sky or whatever charge flurry out there with Battle Fury. I'm not getting mind controlled against Thanos, and I'm taking out shape changers against symbiotes or whatever.
Yeah, and because I think this even though it's really really strong, kind of still one of those like, oh god, still this thing is still here, is because they put his power, they nerfed him where he can only use the improved targeting on mind control. He kind of becomes more fair because if you stop the mind control, he actually just has to regularly attack you. As opposed to just like doing it anywhere on the maps. He actually has to go to you, see you, which means you can actually fight him, which is what the problem was before. He would shoot through 3 layers of blocking and then mind control you through 3 layers of blocking. And then you run away. And then now you can't get to him because there's 3 layers of blocking.
Yeah.
So, okay, let's go to the 6th place team, which is like I like one of my personal favorites. The first episode of the Superhero Showdown when we came back, I played a version of this on the Showdown.
Okay.
And that's why when I saw this, I was like, okay, this is perfect. So yeah, and you built this for Tyler, so go ahead and.
I did. Yeah. So this is old school Shatterstar from Green Men. Tyler, a very close friend of mine, probably hasn't played Heroclix in 8 to 10 years. And when I announced I was doing this, he's like, hey, man, I'll come just to support you. Can you build me some teams? So for him, his nephew, his son, I built them some teams with some older figures they were familiar with. Turns out, and I didn't realize this, the last time Tyler played in a big competitive tournament, he also ran Shatterstar. So I put together a Shatterstar team. I'm like, hey, there's some new rule changes that makes them pretty cool on here. This is what happens. So Shatterstar says give himself a power action, place him anywhere on the map. Starting area to starting area, middle of the map, doesn't matter. An adjacent character that was next to him gets placed as well. The character that gets placed can't be given an action this turn. A costed action this turn. Well, in this particular case, when they changed rules for replacement characters, if you replace that character that Shatterstar moved, that tag goes away, and their replacement can then actually be given a costed action. Enter Shifting Focus Punisher, to where you Shatterstar with one of the Punishers, and then you switch over to the rocket-propelled grenade launcher to shoot their team for 4 with a 3 splash damage to everybody. Mm-hmm. That was just the fun idea of it. You add on to that Micron and Atom that both say when an adjacent friendly character is given a move or power action, when it's done, place them next to that character, and then they can still be given a costed action. So Shatterstar gets 1 action to basically move Punisher, Micron, and Atom wherever he wants to on the board, and all 3 can be given actions, which in essence are attack actions. And the idea of the team, I told Tyler, was you move out there, you punch him in the face, you see what's left standing, and then you take the counter punch and you see where the game goes. You're going to be done in about 15 minutes, either way, win or lose. Have fun. So, and he ended up being more than he ended up losing.
One of I think there's one thing that you can improve on here. If you drop Giant Girl to 10 points, you can put the 10-point Superman, and then the Punisher can pick Superman Ally as the wild card, and now they'll ignore the stealth.
Interesting enough, I was working on this team when I was eating lunch before work tonight because one of my good friends down in Arizona, Paskey, may be playing this team, and the change I came up with was change Giant Girl to Justice League Abominus Robot, so then you can get the Superman Ally.
Okay.
For Punisher, it's still a Retaliator, and it has Prob on top of it when it retaliates over.
What is what are you? It's 25 points. What's the 5 points going to be coming up? Is Magneto going to drop to Groot?
No, if you notice that build's only 293.
Oh, so you could just have the 5 points. Okay.
Yeah, because initially that Giant Girl was supposed to be Legacy Surtur, but Tyler was building this on a budget, and when he says, "Hey, Surtur, like $300," I'm like, "Don't buy that." I don't have use a $10 on or $5
Yeah.
So we just switched it out. That's all.
But yeah, okay, yeah. Oh, yeah, 5 more points. Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
But yeah, okay, yeah, definitely. Yeah, because he can get that. That's the main thing. Because if they have stealth, then it's going to be that could be a problem.
Yeah.
And also they're going to get the +1 if the target's in hindering. So.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, go ahead.
I was just to let everybody know. Tyler also won one of our Bronze Age Builder Awards. So we handed out. We had 2 different criteria. This criteria was your core mechanic was based off of a true Bronze Age figure, which I'm saying is the old card. So anything before Superior Foes of Spider-Man. And to choose it Team Vegas style, he actually had to win that because the final round. It was him and Jose who was running a really interesting KC Aquaman swap to Scarlet Witch. And they got paired up, and I says, I can't decide who the Bronze Age winner is going to be. Winner of this game gets the award, and Tyler ended up winning it in round 5.
Yeah, that's cool. That's I kind of wish we put that on the stream because that was a really good game. They were both taking each other out, which was what you want to see on a stream. But now the 7th place team here we have Ignacio Solis, who's playing on. Here we go, your traditional X-Men swap team.
Yep.
But it's the old school one, not the one with the Magneto cheaty Ultron drone. It's the Cable, the futuristic holograms.
Yeah.
This is basically like this is kind of like a cookie, not a cookie cutter. Yeah, I guess it would be your stock list, I guess you could say, with a couple changes here and there. Like he has the Captain Carter shield, he's got Tempo, but he's got the main figures of Cable, Cape Pride, Maggot, Professor X, Multiple Man, and then he swaps in Mimic, Jubilee, Dark Phoenix, things like that. He told me he won one of the bigger events at like recently at Ghost Kid or something like that. Do you know that? Like he won one of something?
So the John Abar, who will see his team later on, he's the judge of our one of our 2 venues in town, Ghost Kids Comics. He was the one that put on that event I was talking about earlier in April where the prize was a Lady Phoenix.
Nice.
John ran one a little bit later in the summer where the prize was a Master Mold. That one had a unique build, and I wasn't able to attend, but I believe it was something like 300 points, exactly 3 figures, and it had to be exactly 300 points. It was a unique team build for them to play, but he won that one and he got the Master Mode. So he had, high level tournament experience, maybe not in Modern or Bronze, but just going through a bracket, playing.
That's good. I mean, top 8, man. I mean, this X-Men is still contender with whatever, as long as you play it. I guess you have to play it efficiently because, they can also hemorrhage points with the Krakoan Revival and some of these guys being more points than they are when you swap them out. So that is something. Right. But this is something that I think it's kind of like old hat at this point. But with the new X of Swords, there might be more variations of this. So that's something to keep an eye out for.
Yeah, because, I mean, with X of Swords, we have, let me do a quick count here. 1, 2, 3, 4 recent X-Men sets from 2019, and then if you add in the 3 older ones that we have, that's 7, and then the 2 Deadpools, you're looking at 9 X-themed sets that's legal in Bronze. Throw in a micro set of Days of Future Past, and you got 10 sets to pull from for that keyword.
Yeah. And that's not even counting the legacy the legacy cards that they've been remaking.
Legacy, not even counting Regenesis or the die cuts.
Yeah, all that stuff. So, I think X-Men is something to. I feel like when I don't know, maybe this weekend upcoming in Oregon, they're gonna or Washington, they're gonna see a lot of X stuff.
They are.
It just came out.
And one of the interesting things that I've been noticing with X-Men over the summer. There's a shift from running Bishop Prime to Mimic Prime. Mimic's becoming your prime for that team. And I think that goes back to something we talked about last week where your prime slot is like your money slot, your valuable slot. You kind of got to pick and choose and you got to build around it. And Mimic's a more offensive prime that you build around where Bishop is the defensive of prime,
Yeah. Yep, exactly. I think that would be a metagame call. If you feel you're going to see a lot, because right now I feel right now in the format there's a lot of close combat stuff going on.
Yeah.
So Bishop is not really that good because they're all going to be in your face. So you might as well play a guy that can also hit hard. But
exactly.
If it turns into a ranged combat game, sometimes when Thanos was a big thing, just like a month or two ago,
right,
there were a lot of Bishop Primes.
Yeah,
because of that. Now that he's got it nerfed, they're kind of like, well, maybe Bishop goes away a little bit and then make way for Mimic. But if these range teams start being more of a thing, then these X-Men teams can easily pivot. So
right.
That's something to keep. Yeah, I mean, X-Men's like just talk about versatility. All right, now the 8th place, Jaime Fejeran, right? He had played a scientist team, which I actually really like this style of a swap. But it's your traditional scientist team with like Flash, Sakari, Iron Man, stuff like that. But what he does is he swaps out Wizard because he can swap in a Frightful Four.
Correct.
So he swaps out Wizard for Wrecker Prime, which is a beater.
Yeah.
So this is he made it to top 8, so he was easily 3-2. But he hits you from multiple angles between the Flash, Iron Man, and then Wrecker.
Yeah.
Did you watch any of his games?
I watched a couple of his games. Yeah. So it was Jaime's been playing Flash and is familiar with the figures in multiple Flashes and some online formats over during the shutdown and everything. So he plays it aggro with the Flashes and Sakarian, and then if you are tied up with them, Wrecker can come in and back up, or Wrecker can start gaining mission points as a secondary mechanic if it's taking you too long to deal with Sakarian and Flash.
Right.
So
go ahead. No, go ahead.
This mechanic is something I saw a little bit of last week, but it came more from the discussions of the Ultron thing, to where you're starting with theme and then doing a 1-for-1 or a 2-for-2 swap for figures to come in that aren't theme. And I think people are just starting to see this and see that type of idea, because your swappers are Captain America, Invisible Woman, Wizard, Mags, and Professor X, right? So you got 5 characters that can swap, and they all do different keywords that can come in. So I think you might see more of this, to where this theme team is lacking something, but I can swap it in from a non-theme character after the game started or after force construction.
Yeah, and you still keep your theme, which is good.
And you still keep your theme, which means you still have your theme team props. Record can still use them. You still get your map roll, all of that stuff. Yep.
So right now, I would say we are in the 15th or 16th century. If this was if Bronze Age right now, the format was world history, we'd be in the 15th and 16th century, where everybody's just exploring right now, and everybody's exploring, discovering new things, and then it'll start to coalesce. But right now, it's like this is the most fun part, because you could like literally build whatever and see if it works, and then let it sort out later. So. Okay, so then we have the Bronze Builder winner, BBW, Bronze Builder winners.
Are you sure you want to call that BBW? Isn't it?
That's
They've searched that. That's awesome. Search that.
Well, I know if there's, we need to have a context for everything. That's why we have to say it out loud. We don't just say the word, the letters, or else like, what are we talking about here?
BAB, Bronze Age Builder. So for our event, we had 2 awards that we handed out. We obviously talked about Tyler. You can see there he won it for 6. The second way that you could qualify for the Bronze Age Builder team was if you built a Bronze Age floor team. Now, for newer players who aren't familiar with the term floor and Heroclix, that's something they invented for tournaments, where they said, half of your build has to be from either this set or this block or whatever. In this particular case, I said half of your build, so 150 points, had to come from true Bronze Age figure sets, which would be Superman 2011 to Captain America Civil War, the storyline organized play. So if you had at least 150 points, counting objects and tactics and figures, you qualified. John was the only one who built Bronze Age floor, so he kind of won it by default, but he also earned it. He went 3-2 for the day, made it to our NIT bracket, made it to the finals of our NIT bracket, and ended up losing out to Jesse because when he came in, Michelangelo just couldn't hit.
Oh my gosh!
Michelangelo just did not roll well, and with multiple backing him up, he just could not hit that 6 to get that mechanic going. But
I can go on. We went. Clay and I kind of went on a deep dive with Michelangelo.
Yeah.
John, dude, he's got to get more. This is, oh my goodness, I can't even begin to explain how busted this mechanic is for him. So I'm gonna try to see if I can build around it more or also kind of showcase it on the showdown, because he can theoretically go infinite as long as there's enough guys on the other side of the map.
So Michelangelo, for those not familiar, he is the sketch Chase from the first Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle set. He's 75 points. He has 2 traits. First trait, Michelangelo can use stealth. Cool. If he's adjacent to a character named Raph, Donnie, or Leo, he can use impervious. So that's pretty cool. Second trait, advanced turtle technique. This is the big one. When Michelangelo hits one or more opposing characters, after actions resolve, Michelangelo can move up to 2 squares automatically, breaking away, and then may make a close attack targeting a character he has not attacked this turn.
Oh my god.
So he has also charge and flurry, and his flurry says each time he hits an opposing character, after actions resolve, you may give that character an action token. So Mikey would charge in one character, flurry, hit, give him tokens, move 2 squares, hit another character, token, move 2 squares, hit another character, token.
It's Congo.
He's got a base 11 and 3, so a little bit of combat pump, you can get him there. But even then, he's going 11 and 3.
Yeah. He has he gives them the power gem, so it's at least a 12 for 5.
12 for 5. There you go.
Minimum. That's not counting if he has any other things. But it's crazy because you can if you can somehow trigger him after a carry, he can just keep going as well. And the thing to note with Michelangelo is he doesn't need to damage them. It just needs to be any kind of attack. So even if they even if they imperv out of it, he can still trigger. He'll still go.
Yep.
So that is something that's crazy. Oh my god.
TMNT and TMNT allied keywords, obviously, but 2 really good keywords to play around: animal and martial artist.
Yeah.
And as you saw in John's build, he was running with Prime Craven, so you can get that animal mobility for Michael.
And also with Hammerai, if Hammerai hits, he can Spider-Verse in Michelangelo.
Yeah.
So, oh my goodness. So that's the event. That's the top 8. I'm really excited for that piece. So thank you, John. But this weekend, before we get to our topics here, there's another ICQ. I love it. It's all being scheduled kind of around the same time. It's the is it this weekend? It's this weekend, right? Yeah, it's the Washington ICQ. So Chehalis, Washington, the guys up there, the Strike Force guys and the Eagles, they're going to be basically running the whole thing, and it's like a 2-day event, and the ICQ is going to be on Sunday. But what's important to note here is it'll be the first event where X of Swords is legal.
Yeah.
So that's going to be something that's going to be very exciting to see what kind of teams come out, right? If they're all just going to be playing X-Men swaps. Or somebody's going to try to solo with something,
I mean, looking at X-Men X of Swords, unlike, say, Disney Plus, where there was, 3 to 6 figures that were like, oh, you build around, this is the figure, this is what you do. This looks more like your typical X-Men team. They have mechanics within the keywords, mechanics within the figures, but there isn't that dominant, obvious number one figure that you play, right? Seeing some chatter online about the chases, kind of mixed reviews. I mean, Merlin's there. About the primes, Jim Jasper's hit or miss, depending on the comments you see. But I think you can see more teams as opposed to just Chase Scarlet Witch, Chase Sakari and Iron Man, etc. Stuff like that.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. I think because it's new, they're gonna have to try to get all the pieces that they can. So whatever they can get, they're gonna play with that. But I think the safe bet would be to just kind of play around with X swap teams and see how you can fit whatever you want in.
Yeah.
I think Merlin will probably see some play because there's a lot of free actions in this format. And perhaps Jim Jaspers. I know that, we were talking about this, and I know like we were talking about the support or versus the attacker. But I look at it like this: you don't need to have a prime to be. You don't need your prime to be the main guy, right? It's obviously nice. However, if you can kind of cheat, quote unquote, with the prime, it might be worth it. Like here's what I mean by that. He's 35 points, right? Jim Jaspers, okay? 35.
35, correct.
If you were able to equip an Infinity Gauntlet or Cosmic Cube onto one of your guys, you just paid 5 points for him. That's it.
Yeah.
And you're like, well, then you're playing the Gauntlet. That's like, okay, but then he can also swap that for a 25 point or 20 point equipment later on, or 15. You know what I mean? So you're really only paying 5 points for a Perplexer.
Yeah.
And a barrier. That might be good enough. And then you know what? If you're gonna play Scarab can copy that equipment. So keep that in mind.
Yeah.
Oh my God. Is there any other? Is there any other things? Any other pieces you think you'll see? I think those are the two main ones. I think, but I'm sure you'll see like some swords, like Muramasa Blade and stuff like that.
I think you're going to see swords. I mean, it also depends on like how much they were able to get on there. I think one of the just kind of looking at the set for the base set, the CURs, it adds a lot of stuff for X-Men again that are not in modern, but we would have in bronze. So the tank or the TK or the Perplexer. So you might not see a lot of that. The one character that kind of struck my eye was the rare Wolverine.
Yeah, the one that doesn't die.
The one that doesn't die. So this is similar to the Wolverine from one of the Fantastic Four sets, the new Fantastic Four Wolverine. He has the same thing. When Wolverine would be KO'd by an opposing effect, you don't stop turning the dial and keep turning it until damage has been taken. So if you hit him for 5, you click him 5 turns, and then you put him on his card. And then at the beginning of the turn, you heal him 1 click. When the last click's revealed, your opponent places him within 4 squares, and this is the difference. It just has to be a friendly character, not one that he shares a keyword with. Mm-hmm. And unlike the Fantastic Four one, it has to be a Fantastic Four character that keeps him on his card. This one, he just has to share a keyword. His keywords are Martial Artist, Mystical, X-Force, and X-Men. So as long as one or more of those are on the map, he's coming back. So you have a lot more room to play with to keep bringing him back.
So that's another point denial piece.
Yeah. And, I mean, he has leadership top dial, 12, 11 attacks, 3 damage, his whole dial. So it's not like he's just a piece that does anything. He's offensive, too.
Yeah, because you'll give him whatever sword you want to put him with, and he can do some work, right?
Yep.
So that's the Washington event run by Matt Peterson. I know Chip and all them are going to be, the Eagle guys are going to be there. I think they're helping him out, but it's mostly a Strike Force 5 production. So shout out to you guys.
Go ahead.
No, go ahead.
So for those who've been kind of reading the articles and following me online about this, it's been a few years since I was really back into the scene. I don't really remember Washington player-based group from
not when you were,
active, 8 years ago or whatever.
Nope.
So are these like Seattle area? Or where's the
They're new. Is it at? So it's the Pacific Northwest. So they really started around 2014, 2015. It was kind of like where you were kind of in and out. But there's like, it's the Portland group, and then there's the Washington, like the Chehalis Washington group, like in that area, like Seattle, I guess. But I know I'm lumping all them together. But they work together a lot, and they're a pretty big group. Like when they have their events, like we're actually going to go up there for the 2v2. So you should think about coming with us and go. It's a pretty cool thing. But they can get like 30 people.
Nice.
For like just like if they wanted to run a competitive event, they can get 30 people. We went up there for their the Silver Age event. We had 19 players, but that's because like it was like a very last minute thing, and Silver Age was so brand new
Yeah,
that, like, it was kind of they were like ID cards. Like, I don't know. So hopefully it's a little bit more palatable because there's no ID cards, there's no resources. So really, it's just like, look, just play the stuff that just rotated out. You could play that too. You know, there's really nothing, you know, that big of a deal. And they have really, really good players up there. Between Chip, Matt. I think Matt is the one who's running it because he's the one that I've been talking to about running the event. So he's probably not going to be playing. But Brian is really good up there. There's two Brians, Brian Smith and Brian Dormeyer. Those guys are, and Brian Dormeyer is a really big team builder.
Okay.
So,
well, you know,
I just want to say one word, and if you guys are listening, I don't want to spoil too much, but let's just say he was looking at Death Trap.
Okay.
The Death Trap mechanic.
Oh yeah, I probably know the figure he's on it.
So
like I said, I'm not too familiar with the Washington guys, but this is what I have to say to the Washington guys. Okay, I want you to impress me. I want you to impress the big players around town. Are you guys good players? Or are you guys good team builders? And there's a big difference because if I see a top 8 that's nothing but net decks and black cards or X swaps, I'm going to be like, oh, that play group's a joke. I don't care who wins. We'll beat them in December. That's what I thought about North Carolina. When we saw North Carolina's group, I'm like, oh, that's nothing but Avengers. Yawn. Show me something, Washington. Yeah. Come on, guys.
Yeah, Chip. Come on, man. Chip, Corey, Brian, all you guys up there. I know that you guys I will say this. When I went up to the last one, it was those 19 players. I think there were 7 Thanos teams. And I was just like, I was like, oh god, good thing I'm kind of prepared for Thanos, but I was like, oh geez. And then
guys,
guys, the rest were like monsters.
If that's how your play group is, don't even bother coming to Vegas in January. I'm just saying.
Oh, okay. Dude. Okay. So, now check this out. Chip said if there was an event in Vegas, he would go because it's more centralized, it's cheaper and everything. And then now I'd say, Chip, there is an event going to be in Vegas, the Invitational. So if you win up there, I fully expect you to show up. Because like Chip, he's like if you are the enabler in Vegas, he is the enabler in the Pacific Northwest. He's the guy that does everything. He also cooks. So he does the barbecue and everything. That's kind of like, I was like, you know what? You know, if the 2v2 wasn't enough for us to like go over there, but now there's food and he's cooking involved too. It's like, you know what? Jeff and I were going. We're going to go there in September because it's going to be, it was supposed to be like a camping thing. But he's like, you know what? Nobody ever does the camping. They just play and then that's it. So it's like, we're just going to host it at the store and he's going to bring his smoker there and, barbecue, whatever. So I was like, okay, that's cool. And their pricing is really good. They have a lot of good support. So I really hope that they break the 20. If they can do 20, if they can get to 24 players on Sunday, that would be very impressive. But I think it would be cool if they hit like 18 to 20 because it is still a newer format for them. They haven't played it yet. So I've been getting a lot of questions from them. And one of the things that they asked, are tarot cards legal? And I was like, okay, it's not legal for now. We still have to come up with rules for it so that it could be, so we can make sure that there's no, shenanigans, cheating going on. But now, just real quick, just like a little aside here. The tarot card rules say this, okay? And this is where the big problem lies. And we need to like really, really change this. It says if a player brings a tarot card deck, they shuffle the deck at the beginning of the game, and they put it face down next to them.
Yeah.
That's it. So I was like, wait a minute. What about me cutting the deck? It literally just says shuffle, put it in the side. I was like, they need to say something because like if someone wants to do the letter of the law rules lawyer, I'm not going to let you cut my deck.
What if wants to shuffle the deck too? That's allowed. What if you want the judge to shuffle the deck?
Yeah, so exactly. So I think they need to until those come out, we have to keep it or come up with our own. Also, because I do know that Mr. Curmudgeon up there, some Mr. Collins guy up there that was like, it doesn't make sense. Why would you ban it? Blah, blah. We have gone all bronze with just the elements that we have.
Yeah.
So the season is all this. If there's something new at the very end, it's not going to be consistent with the rest of the ICQs. So we keep it all consistent for the whole year, like just from a game element mechanic standpoint. If they introduce ID cards, we'd probably ban those too until the next season, because we want to keep it consistent, everything the same, just new figures coming out. Okay. But then
by the time the season starts, you'll have all the tarot cards would have been released, so then you'll have a better idea of how
exactly. And then when the 2023 season comes out, now we can have a better understanding of what the rules need to be, and also it would start fresh. So if and when we do include them, it'll start in January. Then now the whole year. Now, if they introduce some new thing that comes up, we probably won't put those in. You know, it all really kind of depends on how different the mechanic. Because like this tarot card thing is a completely new thing. It's not like they're doing a special object that's just slightly different. It's like, okay, well, these are special objects, but they're not equipment.
Or bringing back an old mechanic from 5 years ago or something.
Yeah, this is like some completely different. So we need to just kind of wait and see. And also, I don't want to have to deal with judge calling over because they marked their card and we're like, okay, what do we have to do? And then some guy's like, he won't let me cut his deck, and I'm like, okay, now what are we gonna do? Like I don't want to deal with that kind of stuff. So we'll leave that for 2023. We'll leave it for Worlds people to let it blow up there first and see what happens and hear all the stories, and then meanwhile we take all the data and then we make our own rules.
Okay, so little technical difficulty, sorry guys, but we are moving on to our topics, right?
Yeah,
we're going to be going over. Yeah, sorry, I'm gonna be putting this. Basically, you're gonna know what we're gonna talk about, but just kind of like things that are like news and notes and stuff. Mostly gonna be in the Open Series bronze, stuff like that. So we're gonna be going back and forth for a little bit here to introduce some topics, and we'll discuss them.
Yeah.
So, do the honors.
Right, so first topic we have. Okay. What Bronze Age figure or mechanic are you surprised you haven't seen yet? And by Bronze Age figure mechanic, I mean ones from Superman to Civil War.
So pre-Superior Foes and basically all the old cards.
All the old cards, pre-Superior Foes, any mechanics or figures from there you're surprised you haven't seen.
I was going to say Nighthawk Prime, but we have been seeing it more and more now. Obviously, it's going to be like on like tentpole teams. So, but we're seeing more of that. I think people can start looking at that more. But there's one piece that I think it was really good back then. It might be good now. Is the Science Police Officer? Seen that one? Yeah. 45 points, police, future. It's like 5 clicks. Nothing to write home about. But the damage power, the special power, is what we're really looking at here. So basically, what that does is, if you've been given an action, when you're given an action, if you've already been given a a costed action, you take 1 unavoidable after resolutions. So why is this important? Well, I mean, if someone's going to charge, and it's within 8 squares, I believe. Right?
Correct.
It's 8 squares.
Yep.
And it doesn't need line of fire. It just needs 8 squares. So that's good. Why is that important? Well, if you're going to charge and you're going to flurry, that's going to trigger because you're given the costed action, and then the free action after the costed action is what's going to trigger this. It can also trigger somebody who carried, and then that person wants to sidestep. They take 1. If they want to outwit, they take 1. If they want to perplex, they take 1. Whatever the case may be. Because there's a lot of free actions nowadays, a lot of this should trigger quite a bit, because if you're going to take an action to move up there and you're going to do some kind of free action, you're going to take 1. So you have to be careful. And it's also unavoidable, which is very important because it gets around Thanos, who can reduce penetrating. So if it's dealing penetrating, it stops.
Yep.
Also, if you're playing multiples of this piece, it stacks. So if you have two of these guys, they're going to take two. Of course, 45 points, 5 clicks with like a 9 attack, 16 defense toughness is nothing to write home about, but it does have PD. It does have some use. Maybe you give it an equipment that has some kind of support power on top of that. But 5 clicks with toughness is not too easy to kill it, but it is kind of easy, but not really.
But also, if this is on your team, it's not the core mechanic of your team, and they gotta spend more than 45 points worth of resources to KO this guy. If they're doing that, they're not going after your primary attackers.
Yeah.
Right. So he's got benefits from that power. You're paying for that power, but like you said, he has PD. More importantly, he has future keyword, which can go on those Chase Doom teams.
Yeah.
You know,
it's police as well, right?
Police, yeah.
Uh-oh.
So if you want Lieutenant Gordon or GCPD, you can.
Oh my gosh. That was one, and then the other one I alluded to earlier was Death Trap. Like no one's even trying Death Trap. No. And I know that people have been trying to do the capture mechanic, but the Death Trap guys are actually pretty good for their points and what they do. That's just, of course, it's only once per game, so if you miss and you're done. But hey, if you get that off, man, that could be. Yeah. So what do you have?
So the one that surprised me that I haven't seen so far is the Heroes for Hire ATA.
Okay.
Back in May, that was one of the first things I looked at to see if I can get a team around. So Heroes for Hire ATA, 8 points. Is only for the Heroes for Hire keyword, but you can go on any theme team, but the Heroes for Hire characters can get it. At the beginning of the game, place a number of hire tokens on this card equal to the number of characters using this team ability. So if I have 1 character using it, it's 1. If I have 3 using it, you get 3 tokens. Once per turn, you may remove a hire token from this card, and 1 character using this team ability may make 1 close or range combat attack as a free action. It is uncopyable. But for your Heroes for Hire keyword characters, you remove a token, they make a free attack, close or range. And there's plenty of figures that people are trying to shoehorn onto teams or to utilize that I get multiple attacks off in a turn. Mm-hmm. Back in the day, this dominated one Gen Con Worlds with Ghost Rider and Iron Fist and Brother Voodoo, but it was basically you charge in with the Shang-Chi, you charge in with an Elektra, they hit, you remove a token, they hit again. You can get 2 attacks off in a turn, and there are a lot of close combat character figures in the Heroes for Hire keyword that I'm surprised just people haven't tried to use it with.
You know, I think because you know how a lot of times when something is so completely broken that when they nerf it, you just think it sucks because you're comparing it to what it used to be.
Exactly. Yeah.
Well, you know, it's like, well, if we never had that to compare it to, and it was just this to begin with, you would think it's pretty good. But because we were so spoiled with what it was originally, you're just like not gonna use it. Like I think the same thing can be said about Thanos, because how he's still one of the top pieces is just because we're so spoiled with how good he was before. We just kind of like people just kind of think he's not that good anymore. That's why we only see like 1 or 2 at the most at an event. Right. But with the rules now, where a lot of the powers are passive, like blades, close combat expert, range combat expert. All of like just a free attack is just gonna trigger it right away. I mean, I think the Heroes for Hire thing. I think the other thing, the points, 8 points. So you don't think that's a lot? If you want to put it, let's say you want to put it on 3 people, that's 24 points. Is that worth 24 points?
So that's one of those things where you'd have to. That's taking your object slots because most players are running 10 to 25 points worth of non-figure items. You just have to build your team to where this is your non-figure points you're putting into it, and not add on another 15 points worth of objects. You know. Nice.
That's a good point.
Yeah, but like in essence, what would you rather have? Would you rather have an attacker plus a 20-point retaliator? Or my primary attacker can attack twice.
In
like 2 or 3 turns in a row.
Okay, now let's look at some because I did look at this before when I was trying to build because I actually have a couple ideas for this, but obviously the main one is Shang-Chi. Yeah. Right. He's probably the most efficient one out of all of them because he's got an 11 attack, 3 damage flurry, and he also has exploit. Yep. So because that being passive, so he can actually charge flurry and then do the free attack, and then he can copy something else. Is there any other guys you can think of that you would want to go in there for the Heroes for Hire?
I'm looking
because it's uncopyable. So
because it is uncopyable, yeah. You're looking at some of the She-Hulks that you can get on there for 75 points or less. You're going to get a charge brick on there. Some of the Electras, you're going to get flurry blades on there. So you have characters like that you can use that. They're going to be close combat. I think most of this keyword is close combat. So they're going to get in. And in essence, instead of making 2 attacks, you're making 3. I think that's where you utilize it, where your one character is going boom, 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 Yeah. Another way that you can utilize it is if you're running a plasticity super sense of shape change character that goes and you base the opponent after they've been carried, you remove a token, they now can attack that turn they base them. And so now you have your plasticity character making the attack or poison character making the attack while they're going in to tie them up.
Because the main issue that I found is having the actual character to have this on. And the best one I can think of is Shang-Chi.
Yeah.
That's why I was asking you, is there anyone else? Like, is Ghost Rider from the Spider-Man set, is that even viable? Or is that just 200? Is that just 154 points of just I'm gonna die?
145, no stop click, no. You can
okay, 153.
You can't play that in the current environment,
Yeah, right.
It definitely is tough, right? But this also might be a case where you're adding 8 points onto, even if it's just one character. So say you're playing a scientist theme team, right?
Yeah.
And you have one happens to be Heroes for Hire. You put the 8 points on there, so you're taking a second or tertiary attacker and elevating them just with the one ATA.
If we can get this on Michelangelo, I'm I'm all in, man. I'm all in because I want to get that thing to go off. Okay. Now here's my idea for this, where I was trying to maximize it. Okay, this is going to be funny. Is it worth 18 points? Okay, here we go. Is it worth 18 points to have that just have to have an extra Heroes for Hire token and also have a +1 to your map roll whatever theme? Because I was thinking you put it on Thug. Is it worth the 18 points to get the extra +1 on both your map roll and your Heroes for Hire, right? 18 points. Is that a lot?
To get a +1 to your map roll?
And also to get an extra Heroes for Hire token for your main attacker that's going to use it.
Main attacker, because the Thug is going to copy the thing.
No, yeah. He's not going to copy. He just gets the Heroes for Hire.
Yeah.
Is it worth? Is the 18 points enough, or is it just should you just play like a real boy?
I mean, yes, if you find the right attacker for it, like you're saying, Shang-Chi, if you can get the attack values for it in there. The other advantage that you would have is that people aren't going to see it as a target. If the answer is, oh, you should have just played Sky Tyrant, well, they're not viewing it as Sky Tyrant, so they're going to get snookered by it, more likely.
Yeah.
So yeah.
So that is something. So any team builders out there, and I think we need to do this in the future. We need to do like when we do one of these, we do like a
challenge.
Yeah, like a challenge. So I actually gave this. I just like in passing. I said. I was telling people, like, I'm issuing the Phantom X challenge.
Okay.
And sure enough, I get a submission from Craig Landers like, how about this? I'm like, oh my God, you should play this for the next one, because Phantom X is like one of the top things to play, but he's just so many points.
Yeah.
But he's one of the few guys that can just sit in the back and dirtle around and then hit you.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So we should do stuff like that. Like, okay, how can you break Heroes for Hire? Something like that. I think that's something that we could do in the future. So, all right. So we talked about the Science Police Officer Heroes for Hire.
Mm-hmm.
Is there anything else you want to add to that?
No, that's the one I came up with for that idea, for that topic.
Okay. So topic 2 is which Bronze Age figure mechanics, we already know that, has the most potential to win the 2K Invitational in January now. On January
6th through 8th here in fabulous Las Vegas, Nevada. So
January 6th, and not to be confused with the other January 6th thing. All right, it's just let's not.
Oh geez. Oh yeah. Okay.
I know, right?
Yeah. So my answer may change after next weekend in Tucson, because I'm going to be playing a couple Bronze Age figures that have not shown all season.
Mm-hmm.
I'm really confident in the team. I like what they're doing. It's going to be one of those teams that just is going to, if you don't know what it does, it's going to snooker you out of there. And I think it has the potential to win. But right now, I'm going to go with Lieutenant Gordon has the most potential to win. Just because I think there's two different builds that you can do around Lieutenant Gordon. You can do one that is primary attackers go out, like with Gamora and Flash.
Super Alpha Strike.
A super Alpha Strike. Like you can just get all the way across the map. And there's great attackers within the police keyword or the Gotham keyword that can get out there and do the damage. But the second build that hasn't shown yet is Lieutenant Gordon with the GCPD ATA.
Yeah, we talked about this.
So you can get Lieutenant Gordon movement there. The GCPD ATA says characters with both police and GCPD keyword can, at the beginning of the turn, move for 4 for free. But it is a move action, right?
Yeah.
That is copyable, and there's plenty of ways that you can get that onto wild cards or other theme teams. Combo that with something like a Mobius, where
that's
phasing. Now you're getting multiple attacks off at the beginning of the turn phase.
And then, you know, it's funny. You can actually attack and then roll leadership after.
And then roll leadership, all that, because it's all the beginning of the turn. So because there's two very distinct builds with Lieutenant Gordon of how you can do it, I'm going to say Lieutenant Gordon's going to the most potential to win the 2K.
That one has the most potential for team building exercises because all it says is they share a keyword with them. They don't need to be like police or something. So he has a lot of good keywords, but if you can somehow give him other keywords, he might just go on to another team. Like for an example, I don't know, maybe X-Men.
Okay. So it's up to 2 adjacent friendly characters who possess a team ability or keyword possessed by Lieutenant Gordon. So his keywords are Detective, Gotham City Police, and his team ability is PD Police. So if you have any one of those 4, he can move you. And there are plenty of
there's a lot of
keywords that have police that were for something else, like science police officer for Legion or whatever. And there are detectives out there. Like there are Doctor Stranges that are detectives. You know. So there are plenty of characters, and they don't have to be the same. You can have he moves a police character on one, a detective on another, go and do your stuff.
So if he went on an X-Men team, he'd be able to do it then, right?
He wouldn't be able to do it just straight X-Men unless he somehow gained the X-Men keyword.
Well, with Magneto.
With Magneto, correct.
Yeah.
Or if somebody else who recruits other characters in, you give him a keyword, he can do that. Like if you Miles West him into Spider-Man family.
Yes, that's another one.
The Spider-Man family can all do it, who are all wild cards who can all copy the GCPD ATA with phasing and Mobius, and there you go.
Yeah, oh my God, like Hammerite just needs more movement, and now he has it. Like he could just move, oh my goodness. He basically moved 12 squares, and then he could charge. He can move 12 and charge.
Yeah.
Oh my God, okay. For me, it's be kind of lame because aside from like what we will see at these last couple ones, I think like the safe bet for me would be Nighthawk.
Okay.
Nighthawk is just like I've seen it. Maybe it's skewed because I've only seen it on Thanos teams, but every time I've seen it, Nighthawk just annihilates the other person because they rely on their boosts so much that every time they have to calculate, it's like I almost want to have a ticker, like a count, to see how many times you have to remind them you don't get your bonus in any given game. Like it's got to be at least 3, because they're going to be like, well, I have reflexes. No, you don't. I have the +3 because of my. No, you don't. I'm in hindering. No, you don't. And then now it's like, oh, I have CCE. No, you don't, because a lot of people are playing power gems, so it's just automatic. They think they're +2, +1, +2, and then when you come in and you're like, no, you do 1. Like, oh crap. Yeah. So I'm gonna say Nighthawk. Of course, if Thanos teams, if like Thanos just goes away, then we might not even see him anymore because he's really there to stop mind control and Thanos.
Yeah.
Those are the 2 guys. So I think that could be, but I mean, Lieutenant Gordon has the most upside. It's just how crazy are people gonna get at building, right?
Yeah.
That's gonna be the part. So.
All right. So next topic we have. What do you think's the most overused figure or mechanic that is being played that's not good enough to win?
Okay. I'm gonna say the swap mechanic.
Okay.
Whether it's Avengers or X-Men, because I've seen so many teams play it. Of course, like the team from Greensboro, it's a Avengers swap, but they did it a little bit wrong because the Captain America cannot swap himself. So there's like that little thing. But I look at the swap mechanic unless you're building a team where your guys on the sideline, you're using it strictly as a metagame call for whatever silver bullets.
Right.
So if you're playing against someone that has a certain thing and you have the answer for it, if you're playing it that way, I think it's better. But if you're doing it just to do some sexy little move, I feel that's a Rube Goldberg machine. When you could just, they're trying to do all this when you could just go straight. You know what I mean? So like that whole thing with the Magneto at Ultron drone, like, yeah, that's really cool. But then like, okay, now you just hemorrhaged all these points. You know, like now that's going to be a problem. Now you have no more sideline slots for like trouble alerts and stuff because you're trying to do all these cool things. Whereas if my swap in is, okay, you have a pick of power guys, I'm picking Darwin. You have a guy that heals all the time, I'm bringing in Dakin. If you have a bunch of powers that need to get around, I'm bringing Leech. Right. But if you're doing it just to get some kind of beginning of game trigger and then like just swapping everyone out I think that's too much. And I also think that it's really taxing on like time and just have to always do that all the time. I think you need to focus more on just playing. So that's what I think. And we do see a lot of these swap mechanics.
Yeah, because I think, the swap is, there's 3 different types of swaps. Like you said, you're swapping out for a specific silver bullet. You're doing something like Jaime did where swapping the same thing every turn to get a character in, which I think are good. And then you have the swap deck where that I'm just doing it. And the opponent's just sitting there watching you do all this stuff.
Yeah.
Like, are you done? Can I see the full
chart? Yeah.
How much is this guy? Okay, cool.
It's the $1 million move nickel finish. That's how I look at it when I see that, So
okay. And so far, a true like multi-swap mechanic hasn't won. I don't think it's even top 4 yet at any of the ICQs. So
well, Jackson did with the X-Men. He top 4'd.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, with that one. Okay. And then like I said, the Avengers guy, but they did that a little wrong.
Yeah. Okay.
So we'll see. The X-Men. I that's why I said that because with the X of Swords, we're going to see a lot more of that.
Right. Yeah.
So I could be wrong. We'll see. Maybe there's just a whole bunch of. What if it's just 9 figures of just silver bullets for any game? Okay, then maybe that might be good.
Yeah.
So.
So for me, the one that I'm seeing that is being used a lot but just isn't winning is the defend tank or the defend huddle.
Defend shell.
I'm having the what?
The defend shell.
The defend shell. I'm having all my guys huddled around 1 or 2 defend guys. We got 20, 21, 22 defenses. Come hit me, bro. Throughout the history of Heroclix, that type of team has a ceiling. And that ceiling isn't winning. It'll get you through the prelims. It'll get you to early parts of the cut, but it just has that ceiling that it's just not going to go through. And the reason is, at some point, somebody rolls the 10 on you. That's what happens. You can't stop a 10 from being rolled 2 or 3 times in a row. It happens. And I know you're playing the math, and the math wins more often than not. But it's kind of like that Moneyball line.
All it takes that one time, man.
It only takes that one. If it happens in the playoffs, it happens in the playoffs, and you lose. Because more often than not, having high defense is good. Having it where it's harder to hit me is good. But you need to have that offensive component part of it. How do I win? Not how do I play not to lose?
Yeah. Go ahead. Finish.
And I think for a lot of players, they use it as a crutch. Oh, I always get jacked. I always get hit early. Well, I'm just going to make it harder for them to hit me. It doesn't make it impossible for them to hit you. And a smarter player is going to be able to tactically go through at the right time to try to make the roll and to do that. So I think it's It's just a mechanic that's just not going to win, in my opinion.
It'll do well.
Yeah.
It'll do well. It really is gonna have to take us everything needs to line up for it to win. But definitely, if you play teams like that right, you can definitely make top 8. You can even make top 4.
Yeah.
But all it takes, when it comes to things like that, the more times this is why Clay told me, he was like, "What about playing something that limits actions?" Because how they break it is if they can attack 4, 5, 6 times in a turn, eventually you're gonna roll. Because if you're gonna give me 20 rolls, I'm gonna hit that 10 one time.
Yeah. Yeah.
But if you make it where like you only get 3 actions, so maybe you only get to attack twice in a turn.
Yeah.
Now you have a better chance. So that some action limitation, something like that. If there's something like that that can do, maybe that can do it. But yeah, I mean, if everybody's coming in with flurry, like even if you just have 3, like even if you have 2 flurry guys in a turn and then there's a regular attacker, that's 5 attacks. And then you do it again the next turn, and then the next turn, and if you can't kill them, then they're gonna keep going. Yeah.
Yeah, and you have somebody who creates a bystander that there's another attack, and there you go.
Exactly.
If I need to hit an 11, it doesn't matter what my attack roll is. I just need to hit it once.
Yeah, just hit one time. So that is a good point. I would be interesting to see. I feel those type of teams are few and far between anyway. Like I think, to me, I think like Clay's really the only one who has the balls that can even try that, because like no one. It's very, very hard to play because if you position wrong, just one square off, boom, they can get you. So it's very meticulous. So like the fact that's why you really don't see it. You rarely see teams like that. Now, okay, so moving on to topic 4. What is the worst bad habit you consistently see among players?
So for me, the one that I see, and then this is throughout the whole course of the day for the tournament, is poor clock management. Your timing is off throughout the course of the day of how you manage your time and kind of recover and everything. Starting it from in the game to where players are building teams that take 20 turns for their mechanic to go off when you're only getting 6 in high level play. They're taking too long to make decisions. They're not accounting for the fact that the opponent has to do his turn, and if you're giving them multiple things to think about on their turn, that the clock's going. And then you pull that back from, I'm building a team that's going to go to time every round, plus that extra 10 minutes for that final round. So then the judge is on my ass to get ready for the next round, to get going. And now I'm starting later on the round to where I'm rushing in between rounds and I'm hungry or thirsty and I don't have a snack in my bag or a drink right here. No, you don't have time to go to the bathroom. Time for the next round has started. Just managing the clock throughout the course of the day is one easy way you can improve your play at a high level tournament.
Yeah, that's a good that's a I don't really think about that. I've always, because when like if I play, I usually finish with time left for the most part, because I'm going to try to be as efficient as possible every turn, so that like I've always said when people play, is like, kill something of consequence, of significance every turn you play, because that means if you do that every turn, by turn 4 there might be nothing left. But if you're diddling around and you're just kind of like pinging here, pinging there, and then they're not doing anything, and then in their turn they all come after you, that bogs the game down. So I think for sure you have to kill something every turn if you're going to attack. If you're attacking, kill something. I always say. I think threat assessment. The threat assessment goes with that, because if they don't know what to be attacking, what they should be attacking, maybe they're just kind of spinning their wheels. But okay, so for me, this actually, I see this a lot when it at the end of the event. I see this a lot when something happens in early, and I also see this in testing a lot. Let's say you played round 1 and you I need I need 8s to hit. And then flurry, I hit the 2 8s. Boom, because I hit the 2 8s. wow, he's gonna die, and then now it opens up the gate for this, and then you end up winning the game.
Yeah.
Then the next round they go, you know what? I hit 8s last time. I can do it again. And then they don't, and they go, what?
Yeah.
And I thought, and then the next round, you know what? I hit 8s. I missed 8s. I'll do it this time. Yeah. This time they miss 8s again, and then next thing you know, they're 1-3. And then I'm like, what happened? Well, I mean, I couldn't hit, and I was like, well, because you were rewarded for a bad play.
Yeah.
You think that is how it's supposed to be going forward. Now you've developed that bad habit of your decision making, which was poor to begin with.
Mm-hmm.
You didn't get punished because you got, whatever, you got lucky or whatever. And now you think that I'm supposed to do that next round. So that with that entitlement, I'm supposed to hit these.
Yeah.
Like, no, this is Heroclix. You're not entitled to anything. So many times I hear people just complaining about they missed a 7 or they missed a 6. I'm like, that doesn't mean anything. Just because you hit it last time doesn't mean you're supposed to hit it this time. So that the bad, especially when they made a bad mathematical statistical play and it was successful.
Yeah.
If they don't understand that was wrong, they're going to carry that into the next. And then it's very hard to get that away from them because in their mind, it worked the last time.
Yeah.
It's supposed to work this time. Like, no, man, that's just that, that was like an anomaly, or that's the 40% that was supposed to, but 60% of the time you're going to lose.
Yeah.
So I think for sure, that's why I always say, only bad players blame the dice. That's always my saying because of that whole thing. A lot of times they're learning wrong.
Yeah. And that's for in that particular case, it's their choice of attack rolls that they're making in the match. But you can pull that back to where if they have a bad habit and it's reinforced early with
there it is, reinforced. That's the word, reinforced.
It's going to continue there, whatever it is, whether it's mispositioning, going after a shape change, not hedging your bets on something else for super senses or whatnot.
Or a prob.
I always roll 4 on my blades. Anything like that. That isn't as much on the player as it is on the play group and whoever the judge is and sort of whoever's training the group to try to get those bad habits out of there.
Yeah.
And it's harder to do if you're just not in a competitive play group with good teachers.
That's why there's when it comes to high level play, there's actually, not that many really high level players because there are good players, but just when it comes to high level, that's why you always see the same people winning.
Yeah.
It could also be maybe because those are the people going to tournaments, but there when there are all these places you go, there's 20, 30 people. Yeah. There's a lot of players playing. It's just that
if you're making the effort to go, that's part of it,
Yeah. And they understand what the stats are, what the correct play is. And maybe there's just some people just don't know it. You know what I mean? So but like you said, it depends on that group too.
Yeah.
So sometimes it's hard because if it's ingrained in them, that's how it's supposed to be. It's very hard to take out. So I think that's the bad habits, man. Bad habits.
All right. So this next topic is for all the TOs as much as it is for the players out there. So the question is, what is the better way to distribute prizing to get more players to attend your tournaments? Going top heavy and really seeding the top 4 or top 8 places, or spreading the prizes and your budget for prizes down the field to top 12, top 16, top 24.
So I'm going to be a little on the fence here. It's going to be kind of stupid.
Okay.
But given that we have any high level tournament that you go to, let's say 20 to 25 players.
Right.
I think half of the field should be getting given that we're going to have 20, 25 players, maybe 30. Top 16 is ideal for giving as close to a return to their entry as possible. So they paid $25 to play $30.
Yep.
And through participation and just handouts the whole day and then getting prizing, if they can get I don't know, $20 back. Then they played $10 to basically play the whole day.
Yeah.
That's pretty good. Now, if you are looking at the higher end, but I think it has to be 16 is the right number for me to pass to belt pricing. Anything more than that, you don't have to give them anything. Just give them participation stuff because you're able to budget. Because I think when it comes to players that are traveling, they need to also unless everybody thinks they're going to win, which they should, but like realistically, 30 people, a lot of them are looking at, and let me just get to 12, let me get to 16, let me get to 8 because I want to get that price. I think that's the right number, because I would really like to know. Maybe we do this kind of poll from all the TOs. How much the top 4 pricing was the draw, and how much was they're pricing down to 16 is a draw.
Right.
But I think it's got to be 16. I actually don't really care that much what the top 4 is, because when it comes to these types of events, I really believe the prestige and the honor and the trophy and the whole hype hullabaloo that comes with winning far exceeds whatever pricing you get. That's what I think, because a lot of the times, unless you're going to Worlds, a lot of these places aren't going to be able to give you the kind of pricing that they can give.
Yeah.
But how come some of these places can get 30, 40 players and Worlds is only getting like maybe 20 more, but their pricing is exponentially greater?
Yeah.
It's because of the atmosphere, the prestige, like like you come on the podcast for an interview, you're holding the plaque, everybody, you're put on a website, on a Facebook, Instagram, and everybody's talking. Everybody, they want your report. Yeah. They want to test your teams. They want to do this and that, all of that. And you're now the number one ranked player on the circuit, whatever. I think that's way more impactful for draw than anything. That's why I think our numbers have been getting better.
Yeah.
Because everybody wants to qualify for the invitational, because they know there's only 10.
Yeah.
So like, dude, I'm gonna go. There's only 12 or whatever. So they're gonna really, really do it. And then they take, and I know from talking to just people who go, they go, I don't even care about the brick. I want the plaque.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
The people too, they specifically, when they saw the pin, I want that pin.
Yeah.
I don't care about the 25. I want the pin because I want people to know that I'm a team builder.
Yeah.
And people will look at me, like that's, and I think that's great.
Yeah.
So what about you?
For me, and for somebody who just ran an event and put one on, the Patrick Booth also helped me run it. Going back and forth of how to put out the prizes, and as a TO, my goal would be to get the most players to come in the door, so I can get the most entry fees, so I can recoup most of my costs. And the more players I have, the bigger the event is, the bigger the prestige is for the winner, but more of an event feel it is.
Yeah.
I think that the more you spread the pricing down the field can get more players in, because like you said before, there's only so many high level players, right? A lot of players realize, you know what, if they're honest with themselves, I'm not a top 4 guy. Okay. I'm a top 8 guy. Maybe I want to go and have fun. I'm shooting for that 16 through 12 spot or whatever. Hey, I can win an LE. Just for doing that. I can win a monthly LE. Like you said, I can kind of get some of my costs. You give them incentive to go, because if I'm that 12 through 24 player in town, and everybody has those guys in their town, they love to play against them, but they know that's kind of where they settled. I'm spending 25 or 30 bucks. I'm spending my day off to do this. I get my teeth kicked in 3 times, and I walk away with a set of dice and a piece of cardboard. I could have went to the movies, right? I could have done something else. I could have, and like, there's no reason for them to go. And that type of player, I think there's more of them than the high level, I'm always going to look at the top 4 type of player. In a specific town. Traveling's different. Your high level guys are going to travel, but within your play group, you're going to have more of those average guys that just want to go and have a good time and play Heroclix. And hey, I beat Thanos team. That's cool. I went 2 and 3 for the day. It doesn't matter, but I got this for beating Thanos.
Yeah.
to get more there. That's at least how I approach.
How far down? So then, how far down do you think it should be, the pricing then, for that to work?
For the one that I just ran, I had participation pricing mapped out to 32. So if 32 people got all of our participation pricing, which was 5 different items, I had LEs and pricing through the top 8. And if you made 8th, you walked away with 11 different things. I don't even have enough to do that, right? 11 different things. And then we had a special bracket for 9 through 12. I didn't have enough on this go around for a budget to be able to price down 9 through 12. But for those who made it and were the so-called bridesmaids, they made it to the second day, and they were in a special single elimination bracket where the winner got one of the neoprene rings that were available in the prize kit, but only the winner. You had to win it. All 4 guys who qualified, 9 through 12, loved the idea. They all came back the second day. They all were like, "Yeah, I got a chance to win something Vegas style. You got to win it to earn it." And Jesse from California ended up winning the NIT bracket. Shout out to Jesse for doing that. And his picture, he's got a big old smile on his face. I earned this for 9 through 12, right? I mean, just having that as something extra. Yeah. Imagine if you were playing and we did the top 8. Here's the Saturday, but 9 through 12 also got an LE. When I went down to the May one for you, I was 11th. I sucked that day, and I walked away with the Phoenix Force Magneto. Not saying it has to be that, but you give me a $10 LE, cool. That's awesome for coming in 11th. I had a great time. I enjoyed it. That's how I kind of view it.
Magneto's not $10. He's like $40.
No. I'm
just kidding.
Magneto's worth a lot more. You gave me a lot more than I deserve for going 2 and 3. Okay. But I'm just saying, if 9 through 12 was a $10 piece.
Right.
Yeah.
That's why I think, like I said, I think if they can recoup probably as close to the $20 as they can, then they're going to look at it as like, look, I only spent $10 and I got to play the whole day. Cool.
Exactly.
Or $5 even, whatever. Because I remember when one of our old, before the real Open Series started, like the Jesse came to play his first time they came, and he finished. I think he finished like 9th or 10th, and he came away with a Dyson token pack.
Yeah.
Entry was $20, and then it was $10, and he's like, "Oh man, cool! I got this." So I only paid $10 to play, and he still got dice tokens and like ATA cards. So it's like you got to play 4 rounds, 5 rounds, and you got that. So it was like, okay, he was happy.
You're also paying $10 for the chance to get in the top 4 to get the better prizes.
Yeah. So, okay. So the last topic, and this is more of like a current events thing.
Current events.
WizKids is having their world championship, for people who don't know, on September, I think like the second week of September, somewhere. See, I don't even know anymore.
4 weeks. Okay.
Yeah. So they have there's a landing page, and if you look at their stuff, it just says like TBA. Okay. They just opened up, I want to say like a couple weeks ago, the booking for the hotel, but they don't have what the pricing is. They don't have the schedule for the events.
Okay.
They don't have any of that stuff. They just have the room to book for the hotel and like whatever kit you get for entering.
Okay.
Well, because of that, people are kind of up in arms, kind of like, are we going to get more information? Because this is like 5 weeks out, 4 weeks out, and we don't know anything. We don't know what time should we go, how late is the tournament on Sunday, because some of them who are coming from out of town, they're like, should I fly? Should I fly the red eye back, or should I wait until Monday? Well, what's going on here? And all they've heard after Gen Con this weekend is we will have an announcement soon.
Announcement soon.
Yes. Okay. And keep in mind, this is post Gen Con, which just happened this past weekend, and that was U.S. Nationals. Okay.
Yep.
Which Isaac Arnold Berkowitz won. So congrats on him. Mini GOAT there. Jesus. He's like, he's turning into a killer, man.
When he won his first one, we all expected that it wouldn't last, because we're like, when he hits puberty.
Yeah, exactly.
He's out of the environment. We're done.
Nope. Just like double down. He went to people were at Gen Con. They told everyone like what was going to happen. And actually, they probably should have already announced everything by Gen Con, because they know that they're going to go there and ask them about all these things. And they still haven't. So now there's this big, like, it's like a big thread on the ClickStuff page, and it's like there's like 118, 120 comments, and these people just going back and forth, and it's like, man, it's the same thing every year. The biggest issue they have is communication. So, question is, like, what do you think of all this with WizKids doing all this, and like, when are they going to learn? Like, when is it going to, like, when are we going to hear about it? Like, when will this kind of lack of communication, like, stop? You know, for lack of a better term.
It never will. We've had our 20th anniversary set. We're going to have our 25th anniversary set for this game.
With nothing.
And the game's been like this since day one. Even before Heroclix with Mage Knight and everything that. Because, you know, and being involved with the game, being involved with people who are running the game or help out or involved with the company, WizKids is happy where they're at right now. They can print this game and make money and make profit and have their company be successful at a certain level. And they're in an inertia mode where they're not going to move, and why rock the boat? And this game has always been for the casual player, the at-home player, or the collector.
Yeah.
The tournament player was always secondary.
Yep.
Right.
Dude, that's being generous. I would say tertiary.
Yeah. And in this particular case, we appreciate you putting on a Nationals and a Worlds event and attending the conventions. We're not asking you to create a DCI-like body like WotC did, okay? You have, for the majority of your time, you've had volunteers running your R&D program and your rules program. Yep. That's fine. What we're asking for is a little bit of pre-planning and a little bit of communication, which is not that hard. You can have your volunteers do it. You can spend a little bit of time during your work week to go ahead and do that. You know, I was just doing a little bit of searches while you were introducing this topic. On WizKids' official Twitter page, the last time they mentioned something about Worlds was July 15th. And they have an active Twitter account where they are posting D&D? 4 to 5 tweets a week.
Yeah.
So the last one that had an announcement was July 15th. I went to their main website, wizkids.com. There is no header on their banner or anything on their landing page.
That's sad, man.
Hold on a second. Let me plug in my phone. On their landing page about Worlds. And it's my understanding this Worlds isn't just for Heroclix, it's for all their collectible games. So they're going to have Dice Masters there. Yeah. I don't know what else is going to be there. But that's going to be there as well. Okay. If the topic is when is this going to change? Under the current regime, never.
Do you think the regime will ever change?
So what will get this to change is if the current regime changes, or if NECA steps in and says, get your shit together, we can make more money for this. What can we do here? But for those who work in the industry, I work in a comic book store. For those of you who work in the gaming store, the magazine that comes out, ICV2 comes the quarterly magazine. They have their online stuff. They always, whenever the magazine comes out, they have their rankings, the top collectible games, the top miniature games, this. They're happy with Heroclix always being the first or second best miniature selling game. Yeah. The top fourth or fifth best selling collectible game behind Magic and Yu-Gi-Oh! And Pokemon. Sometimes it drops down a little bit if something hot comes in like Star Wars dice or whatever, Star Wars minis. They're fine always just being around there. They have no reason to try to up it and go more, especially from the competitive side of the game.
Now, now we're hearing about all this, because obviously you already know this. Would this make you want to go next year?
What makes me not want to go to Worlds is I live in one of the busiest towns in the world with an international airport, and I don't have a direct flight to where they're holding Worlds. I have to take a stopover, rent a car, drive 2 hours to get there. That's why I don't go.
Okay.
I live in Las Vegas, for crying out loud. You can't hold this in Atlanta, in Orlando, in Chicago, in Dallas, any place where anyone in the country can make it to easily.
Yeah, and you're doing it. Yeah, I never thought of it like that. And instead of one of these big, you're doing it at Memphis. Like, that's not.
No disrespect for Memphis. Maybe there's a reason why there's not a direct flight from Vegas to Memphis. I understand that. Okay. I've lived in smaller towns in my life where I've had to drive to the bigger city to get there, right? Not everybody can be Miami, New York. I understand that. But you can choose where you hold your event. You're a Northeast company. You can hold it at Baltimore Comic-Con, for crying out loud.
I mean, they could always do it. Yeah, I mean, this is interesting. Like, I feel like to make it easier, they should just hold it in New Jersey somewhere. Yeah. Pick a con over there and then have people go there. That's probably easier.
Yeah, you want to have it at an airport that's attached, or a hotel that's attached to a big airport. Get the conference room there, and there you go.
Yeah, instead of having to lug everything back and forth to Memphis, and that's. Yeah, I mean, I know that I know like they were looking at it being more centralized. That's why they picked it. Like, well, if you wanted to be more centralized, we should make it a little easier. Like, make it in Chicago.
Yeah, and I understand. I understand wanting to control everything and not have it attached to a convention. I completely understand that from a game standpoint, from a business standpoint, but make it accessible to your players, and you have more players than the ones that just live on the East Coast where everything's a 2-hour drive.
And that's why I say, like, when I see these events, they're more regional. Yeah. Because there's nothing like that's really incentivizing us out here to go. Yeah. That's that's why people ask, like, how come you're gonna go? I'm like, well, I mean, I don't know, because they don't care about everything. Like I said, they don't care anything past a certain part of the country.
Yeah. So you're right. The best way to describe it is that they're putting on a local event, right?
Yeah.
Because I have trouble getting there from Las Vegas. The Canadian Nationals winner, how hard is it for them to get to Memphis? The Mexico National winner. The UK Nationals winner. Okay. The Singapore winner.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
They probably can't even find Memphis on a map.
Yeah. They're like, what's that? Probably can't even pronounce it.
Yeah. Like, that's not one of the top 10 cities in America. Why is it being held there?
Yeah.
So, I mean,
that's
if they want to make an effort to make it a true Worlds, a true global event, a true national event here, they need to make some, honestly, what probably would be minor changes that they can stay within their budget and their time budget as well.
Yeah.
But,
one of the years they did it at PAX, and I think that was I thought that was kind of cool. It's just I think they were saying how bad the gaming part was, because it was like in the basement of something, and it wasn't a very good experience. So I think that's why they pulled it. But the fact that it was in a major city and a big convention that people could go, like, it made it easier for people to attend. But I mean, I feel like this is like, it's like the annual let's critique the Worlds again. It's like every year it's always like that, because it's whatever.
And I mean, thinking for somebody who works in a small business, Pat works in a small business. WizKids is a small business when it comes to publishing companies.
Right.
They've doing really well. They're still around 30 years later. Their game's still coming out. So it's not like they're doing anything wrong, But I can understand having to be on a budget to put on something, and maybe shipping product and sending 6 employees across the country might be outside of their budget. But if you really wanted to do it to get the players, to get the entry fees, to get them to spending the money, which is how you're going to make the money off the event that you're creating, maybe you got to take a loss for a little bit, or maybe you got to think big and get the players out there. But other than that, I mean, you're not going to 100 Worlds should have at least 100 players for this game. Okay.
Yeah, easily. I mean, it's got to be like 150, 200 or whatever.
I mean, I've helped run conventions. I know people who have helped run conventions that started out small that can get 50 people playing pinball, for crying out loud.
Yeah.
And you can't get 100 people to play Heroclix.
Yeah, that's true.
But
hey, man, it is what it is. It's one of those, like, hope for change.
Yeah.
Or like expect, have a low expectation, but just hope for the best. kind of thing. It's like, oh, that's kind of
You know,
sucks.
we can rant a little bit out on here on the podcast on everything like that. But that's also probably one of the reasons why local individuals such as yourself started their own high level series.
Because there's exactly.
That other event that started off of the Realms website that we shall not name was another one that started off because there was a need and a player wanted a demand for high level series. I've ran chase tournaments 15 years ago here in Las Vegas because we wanted bigger kind of at stakes tournaments. The players are the ones who are doing it because the company wouldn't. And it's one of the few top 5, top 10 selling collectible game companies where the players are having to do it because the company's not, Any other one, the company, even if they flame out in a few years, like Spoils or Versus, man, they will just,
Spoils.
There you go. Dreamblade. Here you go. Let's see if we can make it stick.
Dreamblade and Spoils. Oh my God. Dude.
Yeah. Those are deep cuts.
Those are some. That's so funny. And it's funny because I was talking about Spoils specifically with someone at the store about how they had like one of the cool things they had was it was a cruise where you qualified and the championship was on a cruise, and I was like, geez, that's so sick. That would be awesome.
It was either a Gen Con or Wars World, but I was at the first convention where they unveiled the game. And me and my friend who was going there, we played in the pre-release tournament. We spent a good time talking to like the head judge and the guys running it and everything like that. And we realized how much money they were putting into it and where they wanted to be in the first 3 years. And when it was all said and done, we're like, man, we hope this works out for them. But man, this might just burn in a couple of years if this doesn't take off,
Right.
But they tried. They went for it. They made it feel big. You had 1Ks at the local level. You had, let's do regionals. Let's do this. All company backed to see if we can make it the next big thing to anchor every Gen Con from moving forward, Yeah. So.
Well, that's the that's the WizKids portion of the podcast. we will be going back to the regularly scheduled program of going through the events and stuff, the open series, because that's a lot better because that's tough. I will say though that I am interested to see how the tarot cards are going to affect the metagame, and how many people start fighting because someone is cheating on their cards. I mean, that I want to put it past some of some people that are going to go, because this is Worlds, right? Like someone's going to try something.
Yeah, so. I mean, just go download the comprehensive rulebook for Magic the Gathering. Which is like 300 pages, single space, 8 point. And how many sections are about marked cards and cheating? And
and
that's not all in there.
Yeah,
even it's just something as basic of, I'm going to cut your deck. It doesn't say anywhere you can cut my deck.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, what?
Yeah, exactly.
You can't touch my cards. I'm sorry, what? You know.
That's going to be, oh my goodness. You know what's going to happen? They're going to make a ruling on site there, and then there's going to be some kind of uproar, and then you're going to hear about it on Facebook, and then people are going to be like, how come this isn't on the comprehensive rulebook? And then now they're going to have to do a post-mortem. Oh, we're going to put this, and it's like, if you're going to do all that, just do it before so it doesn't get to this point.
Or just say, you know what, this is for the event. Have fun with it.
Okay. Well, all right. Well, that's gonna do it for this episode. I know normally there's Jeff, so sorry guys. But we will be keeping tabs on the Washington ICQ, because I'm definitely interested to see X of Swords impact. I would like to see if we can get an article from the winner there, or maybe even get them on the podcast. That'll be great. I guess that's it. Is there anything else that you want to?
So this coming weekend is Washington, correct?
Yeah.
And then the following weekend is Tucson. So we have 2 more back to back. And then we have Indiana's the last one.
Indiana's supposed to be in October,
October. Okay. So we have a little bit of a break before the Indiana one. So
how many is that? Like 11, 12? But we want to have one more probably in November before
the January event. Okay. Yeah. So it's going to be interesting to see what they look at for X of Swords. Is anything something that people can readily adapt to for Tucson? Just a week after that? you know, for like myself, I have my Tucson team already. So I'm going to look at Washington and be like, oh, is it still viable? Is Washington, is something come up that just completely nursed it? And then you having to change last minute. But most Tucson players are probably locked in or close enough. And if you're running X-Men, you're kind of seeing what happens at Washington. So I think it'll be interesting to see how that affects. Is there some dominant team that takes 4 out of the top 8 spots? Some dominant figure that we haven't seen yet, you know? So it'd be interesting to see the builds.
Yeah. So can't wait for that. Hopefully they can do some recordings or maybe stream. That would be nice. So I'll hit them up on that. But we'll be back next week. Jeff will be on. You'll be on again, and we'll review it. And I guess that's it. Remember, guys, only bad players blame the dice. See ya.
See you guys.